Let's take a look. Is it working? Perfect. Wait a second. That doesn't look like it's working at all. Or is it? I can't tell. Huh. Why is it not working? I want to know. It tells me it's working. Okay. Alright, perfect. I think it's working now. I think I think a lot of people in SoCal, Southern California, are having streaming issues recently because of the whole fires thing. Like I don't know what's going on, but I do know several streamers have had a bit of an issue with that. Slot Queen Hubby can see and hear you. Oh, that's perfect. How is it going? How is it hanging? Let me throw this out here to my constituents here. Making things hanging out. Answering questions. Oh my goodness, Warhammer Weekend Times. Hi cutie, how is it going? My goodness, that is a name for sore eyes, let me tell you. How is it hanging? I literally was talking about Botet like 4 days ago. It was it was me and Bernardo. In fact, we were talking about both Warhammer Weekend Times and Botet, and I actually got to brag to someone about, oh, you know, I used to hang out with the guy that was working on Botet and da da da. You know, we did all those events together. Oh, good times all around. Good times. It's a shame that Miss You Baby, the farm life has been busy. I'll send you some pics on Discord. Hell yeah. It's a shame that Medieval 2 is so grand in its design, but is limiting just due to the nature of the way it was created. But ultimately, I still believe that Medieval 2, if it could be modded beyond its scope of only 500 units and only 26 actions or 25 or whatever it was, and if it could just be modded out just a little bit more, it would hold up far greater than modern Total Wars. But like those, just a couple of key factors there really hold it back. But ultimately, oh man, Botet, what a blast! What a blast that is. Alrighty, so I wanted to show off what I've been working on here. This is my tabletop role-playing game titled Make Believe. I've got a whole bunch of things in the works right meow. I have... I'm ready to play test this, like, today. I've got all the things that I need there in place. It's just ultimately I need to clean up just a few more things, clarify a few more things, and then I'll be Gucci. There are some things in that .exe that aren't legally configurable, but there were some fellas that played around with it, let you eat more RAM. Oh, for sure. I'm sure there was some people that went above and beyond the call. But even still, it still had, ultimately the system itself still had some issues, like, I'm trying to think of some. There was definitely trying to think, like, some of the more egregious ones that have come up far more often. I think ultimately just the whole, well, first off, one of the most egregious things is any cannon under my purview automatically shoots out at a 45-degree angle. Ultimately, that's one of the things that really perturbed me, but was obviously quite hilarious. But I feel like there was like an order issue. I'm trying to remember what it was. It's an old game for sure, but CA produces stuff that's way outside of the spirit of how Med 2 was. It just like what most infuriates me about the whole design of Total War is the fact that it's so fantastic, and there is a huge market for people that want to play line battling RTSs. It is a massive, massive demand. Obviously, it's still niche in regards to the whole world. Obviously, Call of Duty is going to outsell a line battling RTS any day, but there's still a huge demand for it. But no one is seriously challenging CA to make line battling RTSs. Nobody. There are some that like dabble in it, but none that actually truly try and challenge the line battling RTS scope and scale. You were cursed with those cannons. Oh man, I at one point I brought hell cannons just for the memes, and just the meme of like shooting off and just like hitting directly square my own unit and just like killing off a whole Chaos Warrior unit. And just like no, Oh man. Ooh wee, ooh, you eating good. I just saw the Discord. You're eating good. Look at that. So long as they're not jacking up your crops anyway, you should be eating good. I saw there's a bunch of dudes in Texas that fly around on their helicopters on their fields to go hog hunting. I'm sure that's quite expensive, but I'm sure it still is pretty badass. I'm sure. Alrighty, so yeah, this TTRPG of mine, I want to. I actually I have a little list here of the things I need to work on. Yeah, with full autos too. What's up? How's it going, Overboard? Yeah, I don't. I mean, like, unless you're going up against like a colony of like 50 plus hogs, I can't imagine needing more than a good semi-automatic rifle. I couldn't imagine. For my helicopters, say if you're going boots on the ground and it's just one man up against 30 hogs, then yeah, absolutely, a fully automatic weapon would be probably in the best interest. But is what it is. Alrighty, so let me take a look at this here. I need to work on table of contents, the welcome, terminology, background consistency, class balance. Several more classes may either get added or moved. Spell balance, equipment list, encumbrance, exploration rules, and that's pretty much all I need to really get done. Well, I can already start playtesting this now. I just want to have it clean, and then I'll start playtesting it, and then I'll start getting the feedback all in. AR10 does it, I'm sure. I'm sure it does. I'm thankfully, over here in California, we don't have to worry about hogs. We just got to worry about, hundreds, if not thousands, of homes burning down on the regular. Freaking ridiculous. Is this published somewhere? Would love to look over the rule set. No, it's not published yet. I will be publishing it probably by the end of this week. I'm going to start, playtesting this out. And then once I get it all nice and play tested, then I'll start getting the art for it, and then I'll put out a big old Kickstarter and have the coolest TTRPG out there on the planet. Okay. So, to give you a context of what the system is like, very cool, can't wait to see it, heck yeah. To give you some context, this system would probably be somewhere between basic D&D, like 1st edition D&D, and 5th edition D&D. There is a bunch of, there's a lot to character creation, so it's not just, basic D&D. There is a whole bunch of class features, but it doesn't come up to the 5e level of being a superhero. You definitely are still potentially weak to the elements, as it were. So for this system, you roll up your stats, you track your alignment, because in this system, your alignment actually affects your spells and features. You get certain spells and features based on your alignment. Because I want alignment to matter, and the mechanics therein don't support it in newer systems. Like you can say whatever your alignment you are, it doesn't affect anything. In this system, it does. Your actions give you either plus or minus, and that gives you several new features based on your actions therein. Your origin, that's your species, your race, your whatever the heck you want to call it. Your background, that's who you were growing up before you were an adventurer. Your class, obviously, the big factor in regards of what you can do. Your fate is basically an aspect of your character, of what you're trying to strive to become, what you want to be. It's a way to guide your character along a certain path to perform certain functions. You finally determine your alignment. You roll for your birthday, get your equipment, choose a true name, because that can have some fun mechanical implications there of having not just your regular name, but your true name, as it were, because anyone that has your true name has full power over you. And that's it. Where I'm at, it never snows. I've been stuck at work since Monday night getting paid around the clock. Alabama doesn't have snow plows or salt trucks. It's crazy. Freaking Florida's getting snowed over too. Like we're seeing a lot of once in a lifetime environmental changes. A lot of once in a lifetime weird weather things going on back to back to back. Very interesting. Alrighty, so I've got all this. What do I want to work on today? I want to work on... Man, I need to clean this up. That's for damn sure. I need to clean this up because there's a whole 3 freaking columns that aren't being used at all here. How annoying. I don't know how to clean this up though. I'll save that for future me. Future me will have to deal with this to some fashion. Screw you, future me. That's one of the birthdays and the classes. I think I'm pretty solid on the classes to preview, and then I'll start worrying about the balance thereafter, because I don't really I can't there's no way a single person can balance a whole system by themselves. It's just not happening. I'm just gonna throw it out there, and then people will tell me if it's balanced or not. I'll get all the feedback compiled together and be like, oh yeah, that's an oversight. Oh yeah, that's really bad. Oh yeah, that's really good. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Yeah, I think I'm good there. The spells. Every class that has spell casting, they have 12 spells per level. Just a nice solid variation of options therein. There's also no cantrips in the system. No cantrips whatsoever. The occultist. And then I believe the witches after that. The witch spell list I definitely know I have to change, because I do not have that in congruence with all the other list. All the other spells, they have a name, range, and then duration. This one I do not have that at all. But I need to... I need to go through all that. I'll go through that later, though. I don't want to deal with spells right now. I had to go through so many spells in this system. I want to deal with that stuff later. Alrighty, so for the equipment, I've already gotten the light sources, the containers, and the travel gear in nice little columns. I need to put class gear and miscellaneous gear in the columns as well. But my god, is there so much miscellaneous crap. It is going to be a pain to do. So I'll probably save that till later as well. Let's take a look at weapons and armor. I'm pretty good on the weapons and armor in regards of like putting their names up. What I do need to do though is I need to put up like the special like things of, oh hey, if I need to spell out if you're in close range with a ranged weapon, you get a +1 to the attack. If you're at long range, you get a -1 to the attack. I need to put that stuff in there. What else? I need to also put down what else do I need to put down there? I was also thinking of with the system, I might go with a fun crit route where certain weapons do better crits overall. Like I might go along the lines of, oh hey, if you crit with a two-handed sword, you do 3D damage instead. And if you attack with a, oh, I don't know, flail, let's say, oh hey, the crit with the flail does 8 plus 1d8 damage. Like I might have some like fun things and like make the damage overall different, and I might play around with that. I'm still debating on that though. Actually, put that down here. If this thing doesn't crash on me, oh no. Here we go. Okay. Oh, is there already a text box here? I'm freaking blind as a bat. Let's boom. Play with crits. Tags for what the frick do you call like a weapon? Tags for weapon features and range bonuses / penalties. Yeah, let me. Oh, that's why I couldn't see the frickin' text box, because it was too big. I'm a fool. That means I do need to have another text box here. Wait, what the? Did that fix it? Nope. Perfect. Perfect. Alrighty. Alrighty. So on YouTube, I recently posted several questions that got pretty good traction overall. I'm trying to remember what those were off the top of my head. One of them was about survival, and the other one was about something else. Bonus action. So I asked the question like, hey, does the bonus action suck in 5e? And 70% say no, 30% say yes. It seems to me like the 30% that say yes are more vocal in the comment section. But ultimately, the reason I asked that question is because the guy who created bonus actions for 5e asked that question. Or no, he didn't ask the question. He said openly like, "Oh, hey, I think the bonus action sucks." And ultimately, like in the comments, I made a whole little thread about it. But ultimately, the bonus action is mirroring Pathfinder 2's 3 block action economy. But obviously, Pathfinder 2 came out much later. But 5e is a 3 block action economy. You have 3 blocks of actions, but one of the blocks must be used for movement, and then one of them must be used for either attacking or casting a spell, and then one of them must be used on the off fringe case that your class has a specific bonus action available for use. And so while it is a 3 block action system economy, you can't actually use your blocks in the way you want them to. You have to use them on a very rigid line. And ultimately, I think that there's a reason why Pathfinder 2 is loved by a whole bunch of people for that specific system. And then also why DC 20, Dungeon Coach's system, I think a lot of people love that system as well, because that's a 4 block action economy where you can do what you want. You can do that all for movement, or you can attack more, or you can, do a whole bunch of various actions in regards of how you want to use your action economy. Ultimately, I am looking for simpler systems. I think just having a dedicated movement and then a dedicated action speeds the game along and gets to the juicy, fun bits that I care about in games. Some people very much so care about using their turn to the utmost fulfillment. Some people care a lot about ensuring that their turn, they get to stand out, they're special, they get to show off how awesome they are. But ultimately, that's not why I play tabletop role-playing games. I play them for the roleplay, I play them for exploring, not just the characters, but also the world. And from my purview, combat, I feel like gets in the way of what I want from a system a lot of times. And that is at odds because I think I'm in the minority. In fact, I don't think, I know I'm in the minority on that one. I know there's a lot of people who want to have awesome character creation, and they want to have combat as sport where they get to use up their whole turn to do a whole bunch of various actions and be special and awesome and unique and clever. And I don't like that as much. Is what it is, though. I mean, like I'm scrolling through the comments right now, and it's definitely tough. I know that a lot of people want there to be combat as a main focus for their tabletop role-playing games, but I don't want that to be the case. It'll always be hard to find a perfect turn-based analog for RPG systems, as sometimes too much complication within the system occupies important role-playing time. It does, honestly. Like, looking at 5e, if you have a 3-hour session, how many combats can you have in there? 2? Maybe 3? Depending on the complexity, depending on the level, depending on the whatever. The combats take a long time. And I don't like that. So actually, I'll show off here in my system what's going on with combat in regards of how long it takes and all that. So starting off here, one thing to showcase off is the saves system. You have 5 saving throws on your character sheet. And tying back to class, I should go ahead and show off class here. So like the soldier class, the soldier is essentially the fighter. So instead of enemies imposing a DC upon you, instead what it is you. I need to fix this, golly. Enemies don't impose a DC 15 save on you or whatever. What it is they do something and you have to make a heart save, you have to make a fortune save, a resolve save, whatever. And this right here is, I believe, a way to combat the DC issue that pops up in modern systems. And what's the DC issue in modern systems? So, picture this. You're a level 5 party, you got a fighter and a wizard. the you guys get hit by a fireball or some fiery breath, and it's a DC 15 save. Well, guess what? The wizard has a +0 to their deck save. They haven't gone up at all because that's not how the saving throw proficiency works. They're not proficient in it. They're not getting their decks up. So they genuinely have, they have to roll a 15 or higher in order to save. All in the meanwhile, you got the fighter. The fighter has proficiency in it, and their dex is up. So, like, let's say they have a +3 to dex, and then they got a +3 from their proficiency. So they got a +6, meaning that you only have to roll a 9. So it's far easier for the fighter to make the saving throw. That's all well and good. That showcases off the fighter is awesome, and it showcases off the wizard's a loser. But then the issue comes up of what happens later. So later on, at let's say like level 10 or 11, you're going up against another fireball or a fire breath, and it's DC 20 this time. So what happens in between there? From level 5 to level 10, the fighter has gone up more. They've got a higher dexterity. They've gotten their proficiency bonus gone up. And so now they're plus like 8, 9, or 10 or whatever. All the meanwhile, the problem is the the wizard, their DC hasn't gone up. So over the course of the game, some people are naturally getting better at solving problems with their DCs, but some people aren't. And in fact, it just gets harder and harder. All the meanwhile, for the people that are getting better at it, they're either still maintaining the same difficulty challenge of whatever dice they have to roll, or they're even getting better at it. And that becomes a huge problem of, once again, if some people are jumping up to that degree of DC challenge, then it's just not fair because there's nothing you could have done about it. But in this system, you get better at your saves over the course of the game. When someone tells you to make a fortune save at level 1, boom, you have to roll a greater than 12. But then once you hit level 3, you have to roll greater than 11. Once you hit level 4, you get greater than 10. Mind you, there will be some enemies that will say, oh, hey, they have to make a save at -2. Or, then, like, let's say at 5th level here, you're going up against a dragon, and the dragon breathes its fire upon you, and it says, oh, hey, everyone has to make a save, but at -2. Then, of course, the soldier here would have to roll a 12. All the meanwhile, let's take a look here. Who's got a different saving throw? This class, which class even is this? This is the Runesmith. They would have to roll a 15. But once again, overall, you are still getting better at your saves over the course of the game. Combat is 100% the biggest offender because of the hard turn-based system 5e exists in. I think that's why low power scale also tends to be more enjoyable due to more impactful decision-making. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm fine with the bonus action. I describe to new players as a lesser action. That's why it's so limited. I explain drinking a potion is really a stretch, but I allow it. That's the thing is like when you have a system where like, oh hey, once again, it's the muddy 3-block action economy. You've got the, oh hey, I can always move. Oh hey, I've always got the action. Oh hey, you may potentially, possibly, depending on your specific circumstances, you may get to do something else. It just, yeah, like to that degree, I think it's muddy. I feel like you obviously would have to change 5e fundamentally from the ground up to get rid of the bonus action because of how ingrained it is in the system and how necessary it is for certain classes and certain spells and certain whatever else features to activate. But ultimately, that's one of my biggest issues with Wizards of the Coast is I, in my heart of hearts, believe that they should have made a 6th edition. Instead of sitting there and revamping 5e, they literally just touched up a few things with some homebrew and are reselling all of the 5e lineup once again. I think they should have been innovators. I think that because they are the money-makingest, most world-renowned name in the tabletop role-playing game sphere, you do not play tabletop role-playing games without knowing what Dungeons & Dragons is, right? Like you can play tabletop role playing games and not know what Call of Cthulhu is. You can play tabletop role playing games and not know what Astonishing Swordsman, Sorcerer of Hyperborea is, or Dungeon Crawl Classics, or whatever. But no matter who you are, if you are playing a tabletop role playing game, you know what Dungeons and Dragons is. And I feel like it is honestly just besmirching of their brand and name to not innovate, to not push the envelope, to not strive for greatness. Like 5e obviously sold well. Yeah, I know. But it didn't sell well purely based on the system. It did not. 5e is the culmination of so many factors all lining up together at the perfect time that it just worked out well. 5e got really popular at the Critical Role during the lockdowns, and I think Wizards of the Coast leaned into that success. Yeah, I was just talking about it. And success hard because it had not previously had such a wide reach audience. They said, this worked better than 4e did, let's do more of this. Exactly, right? And I genuinely am scared that Wizards of the Coast is going to lean in on this, oh, hey, this was successful, let's milk it until it's dry. And, like, for example here, we've got this D&D 2024 edition. What's going to stop them from not making a new system for another 10 years and put out a D&D, 2030 edition? What is going to stop them from not putting out anything new? If they do it once, why wouldn't they do it again? And that's scary, I think, because I genuinely believe that the juggernauts of the tabletop role-playing game sphere should be pumping out innovative content that allows us to explore more dynamic environs, to play the game in a different way. I want there to be more. And maybe my tabletop role-playing game will hopefully push people in another way of playing. Hopefully, we'll see. Alrighty, that's that. That's the containers, the saves, time tracking, encumbrance. So encumbrance. How do I feel about encumbrance? I think that having every single item weigh, 10 pounds or 15 pounds or whatever, it probably is too much. So for this system, I am just leaning in on, oh, hey, depending on your strength score, you have a number of slots, and every item in the world is either like point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1 or 2 or 3. And so, boom, there you go. You called it, bud. It's the same thought process behind half of Magic being universes beyond this year. Oh, goodness gracious. Magic the Gathering. I mean, that, once again, under the purview of Wizards of the Coast there. They should have just made a new edition. You are losing the old heads anyway. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Wizards of the Coast is not catering to people that are into the, hard into the OSR anyway. Just make something new. Make something innovative. Push forward. Man. And once again, we're going to see ultimately over the next 2 or 3 years what the release schedule is going to be like for Wizards of the Coast books and all that. But the ultimate thing is they pumped out this new edition with, first off, they removed a class. Every single class only got 3 subclasses. And they deliberately did that because they're going to resell all of the subclasses again. They're going to resell all of the species again. And they're going to resell all these things. And, I think that's ultimately just going to be a sour experience for a lot of people. Obviously, anyone new showing up to the hobby, it's perfectly fine for them, right? If you have not played D&D before, then hopping into 2024 is perfectly fine. But there's a lot of people who are not hopping in. A lot of people have been here before. They've spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on 5e, and then they're just showing off, oh, hey, player, you get to rebuy your favorite subclass again with no tweaks at all. Just why? Why do this? I spend all my money on third-party content, as well. You should. There's a lot of fantastic third-party content out there, a lot. Alrighty, so I need to pretty up the dungeon phase because this is a game where you are dungeon crawling and it's not just wishy washy. Oh yeah, players do whatever and no, if you're in a dungeon, dungeons are scary. Uh, but I do need to clean up these rules a bit. Ultimately, and also the encounter stuff, I probably need to clean up a little bit. What I'm most excited about though is the combat phases in particular. I've been thinking for a while in regards of what do I prefer more? Do I prefer individual initiative or do I prefer team initiative? And my conclusion was I prefer both. I do not want a system where every single person goes on like at the exact same time because then it gets a little bit like muddy. But then I also don't want a system where each individual specimen on the battlefield acts independently because then it drags on too long. So with this, my middle ground is as follows. The combat sequence goes, you declare spells, you then you move on to the phases. There are 3 phases, and you as an individual can only act on one of those phases. Do you want to act on the melee round? Do you want to move on the missile phase? Or do you want to do you want to act on the melee phase, the missile phase, or the magic slash other phase? So before like combat ensues, you sit there and go, oh man, do I want to cast a spell? If I cast a spell, I am gonna act last in the round. Regardless of whether we roll good on initiative or not for the individual phase. Do I want to be slow here? Spells are strong, but do I want to act last here? And then you have that fun debate. You have the fun interaction with all the other players at the table instead of combat just being all about individuality. Or instead, conversely, if it's all just purely team, side by side there, then there isn't much interaction either because it's mostly just, okay, roll initiative. Okay, your side goes, and then everyone throws out their 27 random attacks or whatever. I think that this is just a pure, simple way to sit there and say, "Hey, gang, you know, uh, you know, first off, you declare your spells if you're going to cast any. Otherwise, we move on to initiative, and then boom, you go on to the first phase, which is the move melee phase." And both sides roll a d10. The player, one player's rolls, and then one of the DM's roll. The DM rolls, and then boom, the winner does the move melee phase, and then the loser does their move melee phase, and then it moves on to the missile. You roll again, boom, boom, and then you move on to magic, boom, boom. And I think that there is a lot of potential just intrigue with this system. I think that ultimately combat is, first off and foremost, it should be a cooperative engagement where everyone is striving to work together to survive, and also should not just be steamrolling. Although that being said, I do have some fun ideas on steamrolling initiative as well. So ultimately in the system here, we move on to move melee phase, and during this phase you can do one of the following. You can move up to twice your speed, you can move and attack, you can just make an attack, melee attack obviously, or you can disengage away, moving half your speed and not suffering an attack of opportunity. Then we got the missile phase. On the missile phase you can do one of the two following. You can either make a range attack while standing still, or you can move and make a range attack at a -2 penalty. And then third, the magic and other actions phase. If you are casting a spell, then your spell is cast. However, if you were hit, then you lose your spell. You can use items, drink potions, make skill checks, help allies, etc., etc. Then at the end of the round, if NPCs must make a morale check, then they do so. And that's the end of the story. I think this is just a very, very simple way to combine what I want in a tabletop role-playing game, which is teamwork, into a risk-reward system, which is engaging. Although I am gonna write several other optional rules for initiative here, such as steamrolling initiative, which is in the core system, it is you roll for initiative for the move melee phase, and then the winner goes first, but then the loser goes next, and then you move on to the missile phase, and then once again you roll initiative, winner goes, etc., etc. However, I think a fun idea could be the steamrolling offensive, which is you roll for initiative, whoever wins does their move melee phase, and then you roll initiative again. And you could potentially jump them to the missile phase before they even get their move melee phase. However, they get a -2 penalty for winning the previous round. And then if for some reason, miraculously, if you beat them twice in a row, once, just even rolls, and then the second one with the -2, then from the missile phase, before the other team even gets to their magic phase, then you can roll once again initiative with a -4 penalty. And if you win, then you get to act before you basically get all your actions done before they even get to act. I've also got the idea of individual initiative, which is, very simple. Obviously you just act when you want to act. And then individual steamrolling, which is each player declares what round they wish to. Each player rolls. Okay, I totally missed that. Each player declares what round they wish to participate in, and then rolls a d20. If you declare missiles, subtract 4 from your roll. If you declare magic, you subtract 8 from your roll. And that way, right there, that is, oh hey, if you're a melee boy, you get to act first more often than not. If you're a magic boy, then you typically act last more often than not. But once again, gives you that idea of, oh hey, I really want this to happen. Give you some options, gives you some coordination with your team. I think it's a grand old time. Also, are those bold? Okay, they didn't look bold. So now I'm gonna be okay. So the encounter, I think I've got pretty cleared up here. The encounter is you determine surprise. You roll for a distance, you roll for a reaction, and then, depending on what the players want to do, you move on to either combat, social, pursuit, or you just ignore them. So what I need to work on here is the dungeon phase. I need to clear up these rules for the players that want to go dungeon delving. What was the other? Okay, so I got into the whole 5e action economy thing there. The other thing is survival. So ultimately, I do not want to make this game about tracking individual nitty-gritty resources because I don't think a lot of people care about that, quite frankly. I think that there is probably better systems, better settings, better themes, tones, and feels if you want to get a hardcore survival element here. I'm not going to lean in that too deeply. I am going to say that if you go a day without eating and or drinking, then you do suffer exhaustion. And in the system, exhaustion will just be a flat-out -1 to all of your rolls. Is what it is. Easy peasy, nothing to it. And then the weather, I do actually know, once I go over to the exploration side of things, weather will be impactful for exploration. Because if it's like a heavy blizzard, then your potential to travel is next to non-existent, et cetera, et cetera. Alrighty, so dungeon sequence. I want to keep this very simple. In fact, I'm going to compare this directly to Dolmenwood here. Cumbrance core. Let's take a look here. So in Dolmenwood, they have 4 pieces of the dungeon turn here. Decide actions, wandering monsters, description, and end of turn. End of turn. The referee updates time records with special attention to life sources, spell duration, and the party's need to rest. I guess. That's fair to add. Um, that's funny. In the whole dungeon section for Dolmenwood, they actually don't have anything in regards of what the players can do in the dungeon. All it says is just movement. Huh. It's really weird. For this system, I do want to add some like mechanical clarification in regards of how players interact in the dungeon, and whatever else they come up with. What are monsters? Food in the dungeon. It's very interesting. Players decide actions, wandering monster checks, resolve player actions, repeat process. I don't think I need to have 4 things on here. Okay, let's can do a dungeon action. I guess let's just change that to dungeon actions. Damn it. Let's also bold this up. Why not? Bold and brash. More like belongs in the trash. Ho. Alrighty. Wandering monsters. Let's. Boom. Alrighty, so I need to clarify like dungeon. Okay, each dungeon action covers 1 turn of time. And turn in this terminology is 10 minutes. A round is 10 seconds. A turn is 10 minutes. So search a 10 by 10 area. How do I go about move? Alrighty, so how far? I think this is going to be a tremendous deal here. How far can a group of adventurers move in a dungeon in 10 minutes? Now, I'm going to once again look to Old School Essentials and then Dolmenwood here because those are 2 entirely different mechanisms. I believe. Party organization, dungeon venturing. Here we go. Alrighty, measured stability, wind conditions. Oh, that's waterborne. Wilderness, dungeon. Where the frick is dungeon? Here we go. Dungeon venturing. When exploring unknown areas of a dungeon, characters can move their base movement rate in feet per turn, which in Old School Essential that'd be 40 minutes or 40 feet. So they'd be able to move 40 feet in 10 minutes. Which during that movement, of course, your characters are moving slowly. They're not generating noise. They are, checking for traps, all that fun jazz. In familiar areas, when PCs are moving through dungeon areas which they are familiar, the referee may allow them to move at a faster rate. For example, a referee might allow PCs to move at 3 times the base movement, meaning that they can move 120 feet in 10 minutes, which is still obviously incredibly slow. But I know for a fact Dolmen Wood is different. I know that for certain. Movement. Characters move at exploration speed 3 times their speed in feet each turn, or up to 10 times their speed through previously explored fully mapped areas. So once again, in Dolmen Wood, that would imply that you can move 120 feet in 10 minutes at the normal rate. However, through previously explored areas, that would be 40 times 10, so 400 feet per turn. That seems more reasonable to me. But in this system, I'm not going to have them move at a rate of 40. In this system, they have a movement rate of 30. So I probably have to play with that a little. How far do adventurers move? And the thing is, I'm not going to tie movement to the dungeon action. Because, one, everyone moves 30. The only reason you're going to be moving slower is because either, one, you're hit by a spell that forces you to move slowly, or 2, you're, like, having to drag someone. In which case, that individual thing of, like, oh, hey, you dungeon action, you move, let's say, 100, but then individually you'd be like, oh, hey, carrying that body slows you down by this much. So I'm probably going to say that you can move 100 feet. That, yeah, so right now I've got it as one of the dungeon actions you can do is a move, which allows you to move 100 feet. But then a force move allows you to essentially double that. But then a flee is you trying to get the hell out of there. That is 2,000 feet. Also, I put -2 to ambush. That should be a +2 to ambush. Because obviously you are more likely to get ambushed if you're moving quicker. So I gotta pretty this up. So what do I do here? I'm probably gonna get rid of all these letters. They're actually not even letters. They're numbers. Screw me. Boom. Okay. Should I make these numbered or should they be bullet points? What should I be doing here? Yeah, I'll just make them numbers, I guess. For now. Force move. Flee, mortals, flee. Alrighty. And then make these ones stick out. Boom. Boom. And then time to clarify these up some more. Let's say search is oh, each okay, I need to clarify dungeon actions as well. Each dungeon action covers 1 turn. Not every character needs to do the same action. I don't think I need to clarify that any further. The character searches a 10 by 10. There we go. Interact, do what you can do in a turn. Yeah, just like if you're talking to someone, you're trying to solve the puzzle, you're doing whatever. Is what it is. Okay. Force. Okay, move 100 feet, move 200 feet, plus 2 to ambush. Flee 2,000 feet, plus 4 to ambush. Generates noise. In Dungeon Scatter. Table roll to see if you escape, lose equipment, injury. So, in Dolmenwood, there's actually a cool, nifty Dungeon Doom little system here where if all else is failing and the characters, you need to get the heck out of the dungeon, then there is a Dungeon Doom roll, and you roll a d20, and you'll be adding and or subtracting numbers based off the following. -1 to the saving throw penalty for each dungeon level beyond the first. So if you're if you're on level 4, then it's -3. Mapped location. So if you have a true map of the thing, then you get a +2 to saving throw bonus. If you have a clear path, +4 to saving throw bonus if characters know a safe, previously explored route to an exit. And then dungeon size. The referee may apply a saving throw bonus for every small dungeon or penalty for especially sprawling dungeons. I think that could be probably cleared up a bit more. But then it's a cool little table of you roll a d10 and if you roll a 1, you escape with 1d6 random lost items lost. You roll a 2, you got 1 hit point remaining as you escape. 3, escape with 1 hit point remaining and a permanent loss of 1 random ability score. 4 is lost. 5 is also lost, but you're transformed into some monster. 6 is dead. In fact, actually, there's a lot of dead. 6 is dead. Companions were able to loot the body or bring it with them. 7, companions, dead. Companions know the location of the body. 8, dead. Body and equipment are intact, but equipment but companions do not know their locations. 9 is dead, and body and equipment are destroyed. And then lastly, number 10 is betrayal. Roll on this table again, re-rolling further results of a 10. The player may choose to switch their character's fate with that of a companion. So you roll up betrayal, and then you roll up dead. You've got the option of betraying one of the homies and tripping them up to cause them to die instead of you. I like this system. However, I don't think I'm going to have it as core part of the system. So I'm probably going to just ixnay on that. I will definitely have it as a bonus thing, but I don't want that to be a guaranteed thing. It is cool, though. In fact, it's actually really helpful for West March systems, or West March games, because you can say, hey, gang, the game is going to last 3 hours long. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be in the middle of the dungeon. You could be 2 feet away from town, wherever it is. If you guys do not make it back to the settlement by the end of this time, like you start the session at 3, at 6 o'clock, if you're in the dungeon, then I roll on this table right then and there. You could be in the middle of the fight. You could be having fun, role-playing, whatever. We've got, we got responsibilities. We got place to be, things to do. We're rolling up right then and there. I think that's a very fine system because I have ran some West March games where, sometimes the session is 2 hours long and then sometimes the session is 8 hours long. And that's not fair to everyone. Sometimes I've got things to do. Sometimes I don't. But, ultimately it's just, it's good to have a consistency of saying, hey, gang, at this time, I'm going to be rolling on this chart if you are not in town. that can be a really great way to drive players to get in, get out. You know, is what it is. Alrighty, Wandering Monsters. Wandering Monsters appear 1d4 times 10 yards away in a direction that makes sense, typically from the front, however, have a chance to attack from behind. Some monsters may have a higher chance to ambush, but typical roll is a 2 in 10 chance. So typically when you get into a encounter with some people, then you've got a 20% chance of ambushing them, getting ambushed, or everyone gets ambushed, and thus you just bump into each other. This is actually handled in my encounters portion here, which I will be labeling out further. Yeah, so in the dungeon, I need to add some consistency here with the Wandering Monster. Wandering Monster appear 1d4 times 10 yards away. Let's do... In the dungeon, it'll be 1d4. That's if they're surprised. I need to figure out where I want, how far away are encounters in the dungeon. In the dungeon. Encumbrance core. So ultimately, if I keep 2d6 times 10 in the dungeon, what that'll be is you are going to be anywhere between 20 to 120 feet away. I think that's fine. And then outdoors is 2d6 times 30, 1d4 times 30 surprise. Yeah, I think that's ultimately the play here. So yeah, let's just do 2d6 here. Exploration turns, 10 minutes per turn, actions per turn, and that seems a bit redundant. Characters can no, I guess it's not, because standard movement, characters can explore a set distance per turn, modified by terrain, encumbrance, yeah. Wandering monster checks. Roll for wandering monsters every 2 to 3 turns or when the players make noise. Surprise. Check for surprise encounters using the standard mechanic. And then, of course, you need light when you're in the dungeon. No one's got dark vision up in here. I think this is pretty set and simple here. Except I do need to do that. I don't think I need to have that. I think that's pretty simple right there. Reaction. combat phase. I'm still pretty happy with this combat phase. I can't wait to start playing with that. Nope. Here we go. Now this is the big boy. So the overland travel, I am still debating on what sort of system I'm going for. Ultimately I'm gonna put two different forms of travel in this system, and it'll be up to the purview of the DM to select which one they want to play with. The first one is going to be mechanical. So the first one is going to be, hey, you have travel points. Moving like every mile is a point, and you'll have modifiers that enhance that. So, for example, if you are in the, I don't have it listed yet, but I will. As I pull up my handy dandy notebook here. This one is going to be like, oh, hey, traveling through thick woodlands costs 3 points to get through, but then getting through the swamp costs more. In fact, actually, I've got the list here. Here we go. And let me copy this on over here. So moving through the plains costs 1 point, and you're less likely to get lost. Yay, but then the woods cost 2 points, and then the dense forest costs 3, the mountains cost 4, so on and so forth. Actually, I'm not even full up on this. All right. Ooh, look at that. And then further beyond that, there was also this, which I'm going to have to dress up and make real pretty. Here is the weather. The weather will have impact on your travel points as well. So if you have a nice clear day, then it's going to be minus nothing. But then if you've got... I'm trying to parse through this, terrible copy-paste format that happened that I'm going to have to read through here. Weather, movement, cold... So a blizzard is minus 8 points of travel. So and then and not only that, but it's also no range attacks, automatic getting lost checks, ice storm, no travel at all. You cannot travel in an ice storm, things like that. So I'm gonna have this side, which is gonna be the mechanical, which is gonna allow groups that love the whole aspect of traveling around and using your points correctly and all that. It's gonna be good there. But then I'm also going to have a very streamlined travel system. And that one is going to be, oh, hey, you want to get to a place? You either take the path or you take the wild. If you take the path, then you're less likely to, taking the path is the long way to go about it, but the safer option. And then the wild is the quicker path, but it is the more dangerous option. I'm going to have those two systems in place to allow for, people that want mechanical versus less mechanical. I've been prepping the Curse of Strahd campaign, been watching your videos on top of some extra insight, on it for insight. Really appreciate content. No problem, Mr. Quarters. That is why I made those. And it is so awesome to see that even all these years later, they are still popping off. It is amazing how many people are reaching out to me because of those videos. It is awesome to hear. I've made those videos to help people, and it's good knowing that they're helping people. In fact, actually, I want to take a look here because my goodness, Curse of Strahd has just been popping off on my channel for some reason. There must be a bunch of people, including yourself, that have been into the Strahd mood recently because it has just been non-stop. But it's funny, I made those knowing that I was going to be second monitor content. I made those knowing that I was going to be you put me on in the background while you're prepping, you put it on in the car to, visualize what's going on. I made those videos knowing that, I was definitely going to be not engaging per se, but definitely just like an audio book of the book essentially. I'm trying to run it in 2024 rules. Do you think the edition change will make any differences in the campaign? Yes, they will. So, ultimately, when you look at 5e compared to 2024, the ultimate thing there is one, there is a power increase. There absolutely is. Characters are even stronger than they were before. But secondly, there is some mechanical difference. Mind you, it's let's be real here, folks. The difference between 5e and 2024 is like literally just a handful of homebrews. Let's be real. Like they didn't change too much. But the things that they did change did, in fact, change the lively aspect of the game. And what I will tell you is this, is if you're running it purely mechanical, then once again, the power balance is just a little bit higher. Your characters are going to be stronger. And that is going to mean that if you want to present Curse of Strahd as a scary environment, then characters being stronger is probably not the best thing. Ultimately, I think Curse of Strahd is a fantastic campaign, and I think it's actually really strong in the lower levels. What I tend to hear quite a lot from a lot of viewers, and not just viewers, but also many people I've talked to who've either ran or played it, is that there comes a tonality shift in the campaign where once the characters get so strong, then it starts not feeling the same. Which, for some people, is fine, and for some people, it's not. Ultimately, what I'm going to say is the way you want to present Strahd, the way you want to present the world, that is a direct reflection of what the characters can do. So, for example being is, if I ran Curse of Strahd using old school essentials, where the wizard has a d4 of hit points, where at level 1, the best you have, strength-wise is a +1, where you die when you hit 0 HP, then you're going to get a very different feeling campaign than if you were to run it in 5e, versus if you were to run it in Pathfinder 2, versus if you were to run it in whatever system, right? So just go in knowing that it's going to feel a certain way, and unless you monkey around with the system itself, then be prepared for what's to come. It is going to be a higher, once again, the characters are going to be a little bit stronger. Simple as that. Working my weekly game for tomorrow. You're indeed second monitor OSE with some Hexcrawl sprinkled in. You're a good bar for me to make some ideas and notes from. Thank you, Ironcaster. Thank you. I am perfectly fine being second monitor content. I'm perfectly proud to be second monitor content. To be to be the podcast. To be the put it on when you're in the shower thing, right? I'm perfectly fine with that. And it's funny, I've had several either visually impaired or straight up blind people tell me that because of the depths I go to explaining the area, explaining the scenario, and all that stuff, that's really helped them to run their campaigns. And that got me the idea of like, man, they should actually make a full-blown series of like Wizard of the Coast should straight up do a whole bunch of series like that for either visually impaired blind people. They never got back to me on that. Wizard of the Coast has never interacted with me in any official capacity, unfortunately. But that's cool to know that I've helped out a lot of people. It is totally badass. Alrighty, so I need to pretty these up here. So these weather effects need to be put in tables, and they also need to be brought in line with the months. Let's bring it all the way back up here. We've got the spring, the summers, the autumn, and the winters. And then I'll add a few more as well. Because in this system, there will be more seasons than just the traditional 4 seasons. There will be. Don't you worry. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Got it. Also, the months are irrelevant here because depending on the way you run it, maybe winter isn't always, the end of the year. Maybe winter could be in the middle of the year for all you know. Who knows, right? Alrighty, so let's make some tables. Spring. I guess I'll put these as headers too. Boom, 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 and then make this one just a teensy bit bigger. Let's make it go to 28. Sure. And let's insert a table. Alrighty, so how much is this? So that I need the following. I need weather, movement, point modification, additional effects. So that's 4 columns. Oh no, I need 5 because I need the roll too. So that'll be 5 columns. Oh man, these might have to be like a double spread. Yeah, these might have to go 2 column wide. In fact, yeah, I'm already thinking. I'm thinking to myself here. Yeah, they're probably just gonna be 2 column wide. Unfortunate. Let's. Man, if they're 2 column wide, that means I can't even have them on this one entirely. Yikes. Let me tell you what, making a whole system by your lonesome, you end up just asking a lot of questions, and you don't have the answers right away. But then once you finally answer one question, then you gotta answer another one. Then you gotta answer another one. You gotta answer another one. It's very, very, very sad. Let's let's just see. I can already tell that 6 columns is gonna be way too much for a single line. I gotta have it be a double. I just gotta. So let's come over here. Which means that this whole travel thing, I envisioned in my head oh man, I'm gonna fit the whole travel thing on 2 pages or the 2 spreads, so 4 pages, because one of them is gonna be the mechanical one and then one of them is gonna be the simple one. But ultimately, I am already thinking that it might have to be the mechanical one might have to be 2 whole pages. Unfortunate. Yeah, let's do that then. Let's duplicate this spread. Oh, what did I just do? I did not do what I wanted to do there. Duplicate spread oh, perfect. It had at the end of format. Oh, thank God. I was like, did I just click something I didn't mean to do? Boom. Here we go. Combat to do journey. Okay. Let's get rid of that. So I guess for this page then spread, I will just reserve it for something else. But let's dive into getting this all situated, because these tables are going to be a pain. Insert table. It is going to be 6 columns. Frick, I should see how many rows it's going to be. Clear skies, light rain, spring shower, thunderstorm, lightning. Is there really only 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm probably going to have more than 6 for each of them. I must have been drunk or something. Only 6 for each one? Really? There's got to be more weather than just those. There's got to be. Because in my mind, it was going to be, it's a 2d6 table, but depending on the previous day's roll, you get a plus or minus to that roll. So the weather will track in a certain direction to add that consistency there. So let's just put it down for now. Let's just start doing it. 8 columns, 8 rows. Let's start with that. 1 header row. Sure. But I did not tell you to go there, dingus. Gosh darn it. Table. Oh, I should make a table style. That would be really helpful. In fact, I'm going to have to sit here and do that right now. First things first, I got to center everything. And also change it to my preferred thing here. Boom. Boom. Font. That's the word. Font. So that'll be 2d6. This will be actually, before I do this, even I gotta change up everything else about this. Table options. Alternating fills, yes. Every other row will get a color. Row strokes, none. Row dimensions. Headers and footers, yes. Boom. Okay. Just for reference, what does it look like? Yeah, those boxes are ugly. They gots to go. That is the cell options. So cell stroke's gonna be none. Rows and columns. Okay, perfect. And now this header also needs something. Cell stroke. I want it to be underlined, probably. I don't want it to be on top, though. So let's take a look here. Strokes and fills. Weight. Thin. Triple dashed. Japanese dot. What's the difference between a dot and a Japanese dot? why, why are we differentiating dots and Japanese dots? What is going on here? That seems silly to me. Maybe it's relevant to some degree. Who knows? Diagonal lines. Cell fill. No. Why is there... Okay, let's just go with none for now. Two D6. Also, yeah, I need to before I do that, I need to save this table type. Option table. How do I save it? I just saw that a second ago. Gosh darn it. Working on this when I have no previous knowledge on how to make PDFs is quite annoying. But I'm learning as I go. Create table, new table style. Make believe tables based on let's make this control 0. Control 0 is fit page to window. I don't care about that. Column, no, fills every other row. Footer, okay. Well, that came out ugly. Oh well, I'll figure that out later. Alrighty, let's get rid of that. There we go. Japanese dot is a circle, while a dot is a dot. Oh, man. I genuinely do not know the history of why Japan decided to have that red dot on a white banner as their flag. Because the thing is like the Japanese imperial flag, that looks awesome. But the thing is it's associated with, Japanese imperialism, which wasn't so good. So they had to change it. But why of all things do they choose a flag? I'm looking this up right now. Why Japanese flag? I'm sure this has been discussed. I'm sure. Okay. The ancient history says that Emperor Nanmu used a flag representing the sun in his court in 701. The first recorded use of sun motif flag in Japan. So I guess they just decided to go back to this route of having a very simple circle sun. There you go. Yeah. The flag was only officially adopted as Japan's national flag in 1999. What was the Japanese flag before 1999? Oh, what was that? Due to a combination of historical factors, including use of ships, without a formal code. What did it look like? Oh, that's right. That's right. the Japanese flag used to be like a little brighter or like little like lighter red. Now it's like a deep red. Oh, that's so funny. That's what it was. Okay. 2d6. Why do I keep on putting S? 2d6. What do I need here? I need weather. Actually, I don't need this many rows. I'm being crazy. Because here I had so the weather, the movement point modifier, and additional effects. I can just wrap that all in additional effects anyway. So I was being crazy. So I can just have a whole effects table here, which means I can get rid of all these rows. Which I believe is control backspace. Oh, no. Control backspace. No. Control backspace here. No, the case. That gets rid of a... So I can get rid of a freaking row, no problem. Why can't I get... Can I do this? Alrighty. We are on a mystery to find the macro to delete columns. Cell option, delete. It is shift backspace. Aha. Shift backspace. Okay. Actually, okay, so now that I'm not as crazy anymore, I don't know if actually this needs to be too long. Let's test out the singular one here. So, first off, I can make the 2d6 a hell of a lot smaller. The effects is going to be the big one here. Let's dole it out. So, okay. Let me just like adjust this so I can see good. Oh, I see where I messed up here. Okay. So let's... It's funny because ultimately for this system, I keep on thinking with the system, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have like just one system for it. That's the end of the story. But then I keep on thinking like, man, I should have some options here. And one of the options I'm having with weather is this rollable 2d6 table. But then I'm also planning on doing a hex flower, where you start in the center, and then depending on the roll for the day, you move in a particular direction, because that leads to more gradual weather change, which is reasonable. With the 2d6 system, it still is up to potential that it moves in a very wonky place, but is what it is. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many results do I want on this table? Do I want this to be a traditional 2d6 table where there is 11? Because you can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or do I want there to be something that's a bit more weighted to the middle? I might do that, because ultimately there is the thing of, do I want the weather changing so frequently, or do I not? I don't freaking know. Let's... So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... am conflicted. I think I might. Yeah, I might just bump it up to 11 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's add. Now let's figure out what the macro for adding is. Adding a row is Control 9. Okay, good to know. What am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Means I need 9, 10, 11. Okay. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 11. Okay. Let's boldenify those up, shall we? And I think we can squeeze the numbers in just a little bit more. We don't need this freaking 2d6 nonsense to take up the whole damn page there. So I want the middle, which is going to be 7 on 2d6. This is going to be clear. Oh, and also I need a freaking. This is spring. Gosh darn it. Well, we're still seeing if this will fit neatly in one column or not. I think now that I'm looking at it, I think it fits in one column just fine. Clear skies. This will be effects none. But then I want the extremes to be dope, so let's throw in the extremes there. At the bottom, we're going to have magical storms, and at the top, we're going to have thunderstorms. So, magical storm. Oof. Weather. Okay, 2d6, you got it. No. Oh, we're just at the brink of how far 2d6 can go, and even then I still take up another spot there. Ugh. Oh my god. Ah. This is so rough. I keep on flip-flopping on this. I don't know if it's going to be on one column or not. Oh now I'm actually sitting here thinking about this. Do I actually want a 2d6 system? Because I feel like it might just get too finicky in regards of oh, hey, I want weather to reflect the previous day's weather, which is the hex flower is going to be good for that. But ultimately, I'm sitting here thinking maybe it'll just be too crazy with a 2d6 system. So maybe what I'll do is, instead of having a 2d6 system, I'll have just a flat out D6 system where weather trends in a certain pattern. So what it might be is it'll be you start off normal, but then you roll a D6, and on 1, 2, and 3 maybe it stays the same, but then on a 4 it'll go up, or a 5 it'll go that might be where I'm actually leaning toward. So it might be a system like I'll have the number 1 slot that'll be clear. But okay, so I got it now. So here's how the system is gonna work. The very tippy top is the normal weather, right? And then no, it can't be the. Alrighty, so here, alrighty, I'm flip flopping on this a lot. So you start off in the center, and then depending on your die roll, it'll bump up or down on the track, and then depending on where you are on the track, you will get a like a different roll needed for the next number. So, for example, you're in the middle. Let's say clear skies, and let's say on a 1 or a 2, you will move down on the tracker, but on a 5 or a 6, you'll go no. Yeah. Let's think of that for now. Like, so let's say like on a clear skies, on a 1 or 2, you go down. On a 5 or 6, you'll go up. On a 3 or 4, you'll just stay there. And then the next like weather, whatever that is, that one will specifically say like, oh hey, roll a d6, and on a 1, 2, or 3, it'll go back down. But then on a 4 or 5, it'll stay there. But then on a 6, it'll go up. And so like you'll have a weather system that is reflective of the day that you're on. That is okay. I figured it out. I know exactly where I'm heading with this bad boy. Okay. I just need to figure out where I want to place what. So I think I'm gonna have the bottom here be thunderstorms. Ugh. Okay. And now that I've got this idea for the system in mind, it's probably going to end up having to be 2 columns. But I think that ultimately I don't want it to just be, oh hey, one day it's thunderstorms, then all of a sudden the next it's super duper clear skies, and then the next day it's beating sun. I want there to be like, oh hey, the weather tracks in a certain pattern, and you kind of have a prediction of where it's going to end up going. So, and I like my new rendition even better, because that means that that I can have some fun with it as well. Because it could be just, it doesn't always have to be died with d6. Like it could be like a clear skies here. You roll a d6, and once again, 1, 2 you go down, 3, 4 you stay there, 5, 6 you go up. But then it could be interesting. It could be like, oh, thunderstorm. Once you get to a thunderstorm, you roll a d4, and on a 1, 2, or a 3, it stays a thunderstorm, and then it only comes up a thunderstorm after 4. I can have a lot of fun variation with that. So that is what I'm going to do, and I think that is probably going to have to make it go up to that. But ultimately, what I think is actually going to end up happening as well is I think that I'm going to have another column for that. It's going to be a little bit finicky to start off with until I actually get the idea of it here and place down. But I think that's where I'm going to go with it. Yeah, I'm. It's always good to verbalize out the design process here. It's given me a lot of things to work with, because I just started a day with that 2d6 system, and I realized like I don't like the 2d6 system, so that's good for me. Also, can I move this? What did I just click? Roro Raggy, what the heck did I just click? Alrighty. Think I'm back. Think I'm alive. Looks like I'm alive. Yeah, the like I said, in the beginning of the stream here, I think a bunch of streamers in SoCal have been negatively affected by all those fires to some degree. But that is very good for me to write down. I gotta figure out how to visually describe. Okay, you start here, and then you go up or down. I'm gonna have to figure all that out, and then I'll do it for each season, and have some fun times there. And once again, there's gonna be more than the 4 seasons in this system because it's a fairy tale make believe world. It should have more. Alrighty, I think now that I've got that, I'm going to start working on this. And then by the end of this week, I will start putting this out for playtest for all my people in my Discord. That'll be a fun time. I want to get this thing out. I want to play the kind of games I want to play. I want to run the kind of games I want to run. And I think that this system will do exactly that. I think that's just ultimately the DM, like as a DM, once you DM long enough, you're going to create your own system. It doesn't have to necessarily be a whole brand new TTRPG. It could just literally just be a few homebrew rules here and there on top of the system you already play. But that's ultimately the line of DMs, is you're going to eventually create your own system, which is, I think, a good thing. Oh my gosh, even this is taking up freaking ridiculous. Oh, actually, I can get rid of all the BR, whatever nonsense here. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking where the direction of the mechanical side is, and then the simple, the non-mechanical side is going to be very, very fun and simple to do. It'll just be a system of, oh hey, players, you're trying to get to this location. Are you going to take the path, or are you going to take the wild? If you take the path, it'll take longer to get there, but it'll be safer. Oh, but you need to get there quick. You got to go through the wild. Stuff like that. But I have been streaming for next 2 hours, but I think the internet can only handle so much, so I think I'll wrap it up in 10 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, concerns, gripes, moans, complaints, general observations they want to express to me, feel free to speak up. I want to hear them. Spring shower. +2 to getting lost checks. That'll be -2 to navigation checks. That'll be -4 to navigation. And yeah, I just got to fill out all this in between here with a whole bunch of different results. Looking forward to this. One, two, three, four. 2, 3, 4. Which one am I missing? Magical thunder, spring shower, clear skies, light rain. There we go. Also, I've got these in the wrong order. Whatever. I'll fix that. I'll fix it. Alrighty. Yeah. So I'm gonna have this system, and then I'm gonna have the hex flower system. I personally like hex flowers for overall, but I know some people don't. Some people want more something like this for their weather system, which is perfectly fine. So I'm gonna provide it all, baby. That's ultimately like what I want from tabletop role-playing game systems. Is I either want it to be so simple that I can add on to whatever I want, or I want the game to have a whole bunch of options to cherry pick. Because I find that there's a lot of systems where it clearly is like it's a complex system, but they don't give any more complexity than just the regular stuff that they give. In you know, there could be so much more. Like this, like for example, being the weather system. Another example being combat. Combat I think like definitely is a system where if it's a very complex system, then you can at least add like optional rules for variants on how to shake it up. That should just be like standard and present, I think, in a lot of systems that it just isn't in, sadly. So let's copy this, put it there. What? Oh, frickin' frack. Go here, you go there. No, I don't want to copy the whole bar. I just want to copy the text. Is it impossible to not? Gosh darn it. And also, are these all for the middle? Here we go. And then I'll turn this one into the spring shower. Alrighty. I just got to figure out how I'm going to visually impact, like, oh, hey, on once you're at this, roll a D, whatever. These all might just end up being bigger anyway. Or maybe I place it on the site somewhere. I'll have to figure all this out later. But that is gonna do it for me. I'm very happy with what I've mentally accomplished today. I haven't physically accomplished too much in regards of writing, but thankfully, like, I've done the majority of the writing for the system already. I'd say on paper, either through this or through my Word document, I've got a solid 90% of the system down. I don't know how much, like, I'd have to probably double check here. I probably have a solid, like, either 60 or 70% of the system in this. But just the player-facing stuff, I've already got the majority of it needed. This system is going to be broken up between the player, this is going to be the player's book, and then there's going to be a DM book. And obviously the players don't need that. I need to play test out the player stuff, and then I'll get to play testing the DM stuff, like all the monsters and variant rules and how to run the games and da-da-da, this and that. But I'll be getting to all that stuff later. But I'm pretty stoked. I think by the end of business this week, actually, I might be. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, I can get to it all. Alrighty. That is going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Thank you for my patrons. Thank you for joining the Discord. Thank you for everything. It's been a blast. It's been a privilege. It's been a pleasure. But that's going to do it for me. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. See you.